Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Konosuke SKD Tsuchime, or hammered Santoku 165mm knife. And if you look on the site, these knives are not especially low-end price-wise, but I've handled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not, probably 1,400 knives maybe. And when you pick one of these up, you immediately notice the quality and the craftsmanship and the care made to this knife. It's just outstanding. And again, you can immediately tell the quality as soon as you pick it up. It just exudes quality and careful craftsmanship. And if you're asking, why is this knife at the price point it is, that's why it's at this price point. And it is, if this is something you like, this is worth every single penny. For the craftsmanship that you're going to get out of this thing. So the way this thing is constructed, it's a 3-layer construction. The core steel is SKD semi-stainless steel. Heat treats about 62, 63 Rockwell. It's a fine grain, kind of a tool type steel, I believe, and it'll take a razor sharp edge. It's semi-stainless, so it'll have a little bit of patina to it possibly as you use it. It's still something you don't want to let sit wet, but it may gain a little bit of staining to it or a little bit of kind of a patina to it over time. The cladding is soft stainless cladding that's got some very nice hammer marks. The Tsuchime means hammered, and so you've got that soft cladding over the core steel. It's super easy to pick up the cladding versus the core steel here. We'll get a close-up look at that in a minute. Weight and dimensions can vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 132 grams, 4.7 ounces. Edge length is about 166 millimeters, 6.5 inches on the edge. Overall length of this handle is about 308 millimeters, or a little over 12 inches. Spine thickness. These are fairly thick coming out of the handle, then they thin out nicely. So it's kind of got a little bit of oomph to the spine on these. And so I gave about 3.5 millimeters thick above the back of the blade, but then it thins down pretty quick, and I got about 2.1 halfway down. So it thins out nicely, and then pretty much holds that. Not a lot of taper. You start to taper as you kind of get towards the grind. You can see the grind is pretty high on these, where it tapers down from the flats, where the hammering is, down towards the edge, and it's just gorgeous. And what they've done is thin that sucker out down at the edge very nicely. This is going to perform extremely well. And then it thins out nicely at the tip, but it's got some weight to it. And so it's going to have some great food separation, food release characteristics, but it's still going to have that tip that goes through stuff well and the edge as well. So it's just a really interesting combination of characteristics that you're going to like, you're going to love using in the kitchen. The blade height's about 47.8, so fairly tall. You've got a pretty thin neck here, and the handle's a little thicker, but you got a spot there for your finger, and so no problem with cutting board clearance whatsoever. The handle is what they call octagonal key. I believe that's the maker, chestnut, and it's got black buffalo horn on it. Balance point with that handle, it's a little bit in front of the choil, but it's not a very long blade. So there's the choil, the back of the blade. Here's your balance point. Pinch grip is going to be a little in front of that, so it's going to have a little bit of handle heavy bias on the pinch grip. But it's still pretty neutral feeling. The handle is octagonal. Again, it's Key, I think, is the studio that makes the handles. It's chestnut. They've got a little bit of sanding that smooths it right into that black buffalo horn ferrule, which also contrasts the color, which is pretty cool. This has a nice glue-up job where the tang goes into the handle. It's just a real pretty knife. Obviously, fit and finish is top flight on these. They're just beautiful knives. You've got, let's get our shot here. There we go. You've got hand engraved kanji on this. It's extremely straight. Here's your Tsuchime, or pebble finish to it, hammered finish to it. Blade grind, core steel, got a nice shine to that. It's just beautifully crafted, really nice consistent finish. They've polished the spine and rounded it off. They've polished the choil and the back of the blade here, the choil into the neck, and rounded that off. This has a nice I'm going to give it 6, maybe 7 out of 10. It's got a very nice edge on it out of the box with a fair bit of polish to it as well. So really just excellent craftsmanship. As you might guess, it's super straight. The grinds are super clean. It's just a really nice knife, as I keep saying. So here is the cutting edge profile. And you can see it's pretty flat for a Santoku. The tip's quite low, which is kind of typical, but this tip's pretty darn low. So this isn't going to rock a whole lot. It's digging the tip in pretty quick, but you can rock over smaller stuff like scallions, things like that, no problem. It's got a nice flat spot towards the back, 40% of the blade. It flows beautifully into that flat. It's just smooth into that flat stop there at the back, which is one of the hallmarks of a really well done edge profile. Takes a lot of skill to do that. Beautifully crafted there. So this will draw cut, tip draws really well. Small stuff rocking, but push pull cuts, glide cuts, chopping, it'll work really well at that. So if you're looking for like a real heirloom quality piece that's going to be wonderful to use in the kitchen, that looks fantastic. It's semi-stainless, so it'll have a little more character to it, but it's not quite as much work taken care of as a full-on reactive blade. Again, beautiful knife, beautiful craftsmanship. Again, I would consider this heirloom quality. This is the Konosuke SKD Tsuchime or hammered Santoku 165mm knife from Chef Knives to Go.